So, how's it going, my Comics Army? We're here today with David Whalen, the writer of The Offspring, The Sock Hop Killer, and Will Aliens Do My Homework, and Shady Lady. Am I missing any?
Smattering of others in there, but we can get to them later.
So how you doing?
Thanks for having me on, Cody. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, this interview was supposed to happen a long time ago, but we
hmm
just kept missing each other.
Yeah, couldn't quite connect.
Right. So, how long have you been making comics?
So I'd say officially, through my own company, Correct Handed Comics, about 7 years we've been putting out books. I started with some really small other companies doing some of their books here and there. I always wanted to create comic books since a little child. There's millions of people like me who knew that they wanted to create comic books and never quite got to the point where I felt like I was ready. And when my wife and I moved to upstate New York, where we live right now, and I was working as a teacher for a long time, I just said, I got to do it now or I'm never going to do it. So I started reaching out to some really, really small press companies and said, hey, if you need a book drawn, if you need a cover, if you need a this, you need a that. And I'd say for about a year and a half, I did that and was pretty happy with the stuff I was putting out. And they kept giving me jobs and decided, hey, instead of doing other people's stuff, I have stories that I want to tell. And I said, why don't I try to get the first couple of issues of The Offspring up and running? And within probably 3 or 4 months after I made the decision, I had 1 and 2 ready to go, and said, well, okay, let me keep going, and published one under Correct Handed Comics, and just didn't stop. I just put out issue 25 of The Offspring, which I'm calling the end of season 2. So issues 1 through 14 are season through 1 through 13 are season 1. Issues 14 through 25 are season 2. I just put out the volume 6 collecting 23, 24, and 25 are Lightning Crash's storyline. It had a backup of one of those one shots you were talking about, the Sock Hop Killer. And next week, next Wednesday, Omnibus number 2 that collects the whole of season 2, issues 14 through 25. And issue 26 is going to come out around Halloweenish time. So I'm trying to get 6 issues out a year, with also a one shot or two in there. And so far, for the last 7 years, it's worked pretty good. I like the growth that I've shown as an artist and a writer throughout the whole run of The Offspring, and I like the fact that I can stop and take a break and be able to do a couple one shots of different genres. I'm a big fan of so many different genres, that being able to take a break and step aside from The Offspring for a month, it takes me about a month to be able to put together a whole one shot, to be able to do different genres and different kind of storytelling, is really helpful to me as a creator and as a publisher, because it kind of creates a bridge for people who maybe struggle with wanting to buy a whole ongoing series from an independent creator, because a lot of times they'll say, hey, we've got this ongoing series where independent comic books, and they get to issue 3 and it peters out. I'm not saying that's everybody, but that happens from time to time. So to be able to um, have 25 books of my ongoing series, and people have the opportunity to maybe use my one shots as a bridge to be able to say, maybe I'm not ready for a whole 25 issues of an independent comic, but I can pick up this one shot and see what his stories are like, see what his art is like, see if it's something that I want to maybe take a chance on, an independent creator with an ongoing series. And so far, it's worked out pretty good. I think I've put out some really good, fun books. Then I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going.
Are you distributing through Diamond and Lunar?
No, not yet. My first plan when I started this 7 years ago was just content, quality content. So and through that, it was kind of like just draw, just get it going, get it out, fix problems as they go, that kind of thing. And I never really got out of that mode. So I do most of my selling through Amazon. Links in my website, and through comic book conventions, which after COVID, I've only really done one comic book convention after COVID ended. I just had a comic book convention upstate New York called AnchorCon, and it was great. Made a lot of new customers, talked to some old customers. It was a really great experience. So I'm hoping now that since COVID is gone, some of those upstate New York cons are going to start coming back, and I'm going to spread my wings a little bit more to be able to get to other states and those conventions. And the next, probably, I have a 2-year plan. So I'm selling books fairly well online. My hope is Diamond Distributors and other places. I do like Lulu and Comixology, which is Amazon now, to be able to get those books out. So my hope is in the next 2 years to be able to expand that even more.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Uh, so you're, what is it, Amazon Publishing?
Yes. Yeah. And it's working out pretty well. I see a lot of publishers who are looking for printers to print out 100, 1,000 of their book, and maybe in the future I will need that. But right now I don't really need that. So like I said, get most of my sales online, and if I need to print out some books, it doesn't cost that much to be able to print out those books through Amazon. So if you're a small company like me, I think it's been advantageous to be able to say, I'm going to a con, I need 5 or 6 of every book that I've ever published, and I can do that fairly cheaply. They'll come in the mail. I can sell them, and I can keep doing that until it becomes too costly to print them through Amazon. So far, it hasn't. So far, it's selling them through cons. I doubled my profit, so it's turned out really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where do you draw inspiration from?
That's a great question. So The Offspring, I've had that story since I was probably 17 or 18 years old. So that was 30 years ago that I came up with these characters. I wanted, while I love superheroes, I wanted to draw something a little bit. I wanted to create something a little bit different. Now you see some of these things where it's normal people doing extraordinary things instead of these superheroes and all that stuff. But I wanted something a little bit darker, I guess.
Mhm.
So I kind of drew inspiration for The Offspring around problems I was seeing with some of my friends, some of my brother and sister's friends, things in the neighborhood, things maybe in my family that were happening that I could tell stories about characters who had real life problems that weren't going to be solved by punching the bad guy in the face. Wasn't something to where they had to just go defeat Lex Luthor's big new plan of buying this land and destroying California or whatever it is. It was something that through the characterization and through these characters and the reader getting to know these characters, they would have to work through these problems mentally and physically to be able to have some kind of sustainable life. Now, through that, I use monsters and mythological creatures as analogies for a lot of these characters' problems to be able to, fight through these problems. But it's not just them sitting around talking about their problems. It is a lot of times physical manifestations of the problems that they're dealing with that they have become magnets for to be able to fight through these issues. As season 1 goes forward, you start to realize that there's a little bit more to these kids than just emotional problems and magical and superpowers. They have found out that the first 3 main characters, are linked together mentally. So they start to the mystery starts to unfold about why they're linked together, why they have these powers, and why they have become magnets for these monsters and mythological creatures. And 1 through 13 came out great. I'm super happy with it. And you asked me where I get my inspiration from. The characters are based off of people that I know. Some of them are, there's a lot of me in there, but it's also friends that I've had, family members that I kind of throw their physical and emotional traits in there. And to me, it really makes them uh, true to life people that react in a way that a person would react in real life. And they're not perfect. They're very flawed characters that have a lot of problems, that don't always make good choices, that don't always make the right decision. And for me, that's been part of the fun of creating the story.
Did you change the names?
Yes, yeah. They're I'd say some of the characters are like a conglomerate of, this person here, this person there, and I put them together to be able to. So it's not specifically one person. It's it's character traits and physical traits of people to kind of mesh together.
All right. Do you kickstart any of your books?
I don't. I haven't started kickstarting. It's not something that I have. It's something I've thought about because it's a great way to get eyes on your book, and more eyes are better than less eyes. But right now, as a one man band, I do everything. I write and draw and ink and color and letter and publish it all by myself. Well, I have been lucky enough to have some people come in and help me out, a colorist here, a colorist there. I do it all by myself, so it's not really something I don't really need to pay for people to do the things. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't cost money. So Kickstarting is something that I've thought about doing. Again, I was focusing on content, just getting that good content out into the world. But now that I've got that content, it's probably something I would say that I'll probably be doing in the next year or so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have a website?
I do. Correcthandedcomics.com. And you can find links to every comic I've ever created, including my full-length novel, The Last Ride to Tyburn. It's a western, again about flawed characters making bad choices. But I think it's got a lot of fun stuff. And if you're a fan of westerns, The Last Ride to Tyburn, it's got a lot of the tropes that you would see in the spaghetti westerns of the 50s and 60s. But I think it also has a lot of good contemporary stuff in there that that'll make people laugh and get people excited about these characters and the things that they have to do. My wife makes the joke. She when I told her that I was writing this novel, and I started telling her about it. She goes, "You're the only person I know that would write their first novel in a dead genre of westerns." And I said, "Well, hopefully this will help bring it back."
Right.
Yeah.
Um, what
It'll
social?
circle back. Westerns will circle back.
Oh yeah. Um, what social medias are you on?
Yeah, so I do a lot of my well, all of them really. Facebook. So if you look up Correct Handed Comics, that blue logo back there will pop up. So it's Correct Handed Comics on Facebook. My TikTok account is correct underscore comics, correct handed. Excuse me, correct underscore handed. Instagram, same thing, correct underscore handed. So if you type in Correct Handed Comics, I'll pop up on everything, and anything. I get a lot. I just started my TikTok, and my daughter would say I'm a little too old for TikTok, but I didn't care. I was going to do it anyway. So I started my TikTok account probably about a year ago, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people on TikTok who bought the book and said, "Hey, what's going to happen next?" And I say, "You got to read the book. You got to read the book to find out."
So, how does it work selling your book on Amazon? Do you get this like? Do you get to set up monthly? Say,
Mhm.
hey, get issue 1, 2, and 3 at these dates, or
Or finish a book, they have it pretty set up to where it's pretty easy to publish through them, and you can do it whenever you want to. You can publish 3 books in a day if you want to. They usually have, once you get it up and you've gone through all the rigmarole, and I'd say the first time I did it with issue 1, it probably took me about 3 or 4 days to really to make it look like I wanted it to look, make everything in the place that it needed to be, and all that stuff. Now I can get it done in a half an hour. So it's one of those things that the more you do it, the easier it gets. Um, but it's really easy to be able to publish through them, and they say it takes about 72 hours for them to approve the book, but usually it's less than 24 hours where they say, "Congratulations, your book is up on Amazon," and then I just start sharing it everywhere. I have enough content to where I can post something every 25 issues and ongoing, all the collected trades of all those issues, 5 1 shots, a 4 issue miniseries, and a 100 plus page graphic novel. It's enough to be able to post something every day, which is good because it just reminds people of circling through everything, and it reminds people of all the content that I have.
and for them to get upcoming news, just any social medias.
Yeah, any social medias. Like I said, I try to post at least once a day. Sometimes it'll be twice a day. I'll do a post about showing preview pages or maybe works in progress or something like that. And then I'll try to do a reel that night set to some kind of music that I think fits the genre. In fact, I don't know if you remember the band Silverchair
Yeah.
from, let's see, the late '90s. They put out an album. They were the big thing. They were 16 years old and they put out this album. The album was amazing. If you like rock and roll and you've never heard of Silverchair, their first album, Frog Stomp, was amazing. It was an amazing album. So, as most people in my position do, I if I ever were to produce a TV series of The Offspring, which might be in the works a little bit here with some friends of mine that have some connections, and we'll see what happens. The one of their titles calls it Israel Sun. I always thought in my brain would be the perfect theme song for the opening credits of The Offspring. So I put it on TikTok with the reel of the previews and some other inside stuff, and within 10 minutes, is that Silverchair? Is that the album Frog Stomp? Oh my gosh, I love that album. Blah blah. So it's one of those things that just connecting through the music and the artwork has been really fun and really good to be able to meet people who learn about my stuff through music that we all love. And that was one of the good things about TikTok. It really has that flexibility to where you can sit and you can talk to people like this through TikTok, or you can just show off your stuff and put a cool song behind it. And I love it. It's great.
See, I'm scared of TikTok because I know I would get on there and watch more than I would post, and I wouldn't get
Yeah,
anything done.
yeah, it's addicting. Yeah,
Yeah, I get
I have
on.
to set a timer sometimes. Like, okay, it's been 10 minutes. I'm done. Let me put this down and let me go do stuff. Yeah, it can be addicting.
Yeah, like you, I like YouTube Shorts and
Mhm.
Instagram Reels. Watch them just about
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah. Yeah, what I try to do is I try to have it in front of me while I'm drawing or coloring or whatever I'm doing. So while I'm doing that, I'll still be doing something productive. I try to, how like if you watch the whole thing, it'll give you more of that thing.
Mhm.
So I try to like stories of like supernatural and paranormal. Sometimes it'll be political, sometimes it'll be teacher stuff, like teacher information. So if it's something that I know is just a waste of time, which unfortunately a lot of it is, like teenagers dancing to the next thing, which is great for them, continue dancing, but I don't need to see it. I'll try to scroll as fast as I can so I don't see that stuff anymore. So most of my feed is like historical, paranormal, political, things like that, things that won't be a complete waste of time if I'm scrolling through TikTok for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook is you got to swipe up every minute.
Yeah, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube and try to find, like, if I see somebody on TikTok, they've probably got a YouTube page, so they might post like a compilation of some of their TikToks. So if I see a compilation of something, like if it's a like, again, paranormal stuff, whatever it is, I'll look for a compilation of that on YouTube, and it'll play for half an hour, and I don't have to scroll up or touch anything. So that's how I've saved time, wasting time.
So, really quick, dead or alive, who would you like to make a comic book with?
I would have to say that one of my biggest inspirations in comic books, and I'm friends with him on Facebook. Um, I've never really reached out in any real way. Maybe I should. Is Dan Jurgens, who did Death of Superman, who was instrumental in that storyline, and who created Booster Gold and a smattering of other, was instrumental in a lot of the big DC storylines that they did in the mid '90s, early aughts. But he was one of the when the Death of Superman came out. I started reading more in Wizard and Fan Magazine about what he did and how he did it, and it was really one of the first times I said, "Oh, I can draw and write comic books." So all these ideas in my head, I don't have to pass it off to somebody else. I can learn how to write down stuff. I might not be the best speller in the world, but that doesn't matter. That's what spell check is for, right? So it was really one of the he was really one of the people that creators that I kind of really followed and really looked to be able to go, gosh, I think I can do both. And now I am. I'm not doing anything for the big two yet. Yeah, still working on it. But I'm putting out stories that I'm very proud of, and stories that I have created on my own. So I really can't complain about that. So yeah, Dan Jurgens is my answer.
All right. Is
Yeah.
there anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, if you like fun and entertaining stories, like I said, I have an ongoing. I have one shots. I have a 4-issue miniseries of graphic novels. So if you like fun stories and fun characters and interesting stories that aren't like the same thing that's out there, go to correcthandofcomics.com. You can scroll through all the pages to find a book that might interest you. Click that link to buy it, and it'll be at your doorstep within a week. So, and please find us on Facebook, Correct Hand of Comics, and give us a like, follow, share, or any of the social medias, and give us a heart or a like or a follow or whatever that individual social media thing does. Would really appreciate it. Write some comments on whether you liked it or hated it or were indifferent to it.
All right. I appreciate you taking the time to come talk with me.
Thank you, Cody. I really appreciate you having me on.
What? You mean you haven't subscribed to Comic Chat Authority? Oh, come on, subscribe already. What are you waiting for? It's no big deal. Like, man, don't forget to tell him to hit that like button. Yeah, that too. Just subscribe.